I think good morning, Samina, and good morning to both the panelists. My sense is, I think earnings season has been quite, satisfactory. Of course, the earnings growth this time has been largely, muted, but I think margins improvement was seen across many sectors like auto components, capital goods, real estate, infrastructure companies. So I think clearly, I think some amount of top line growth, expectations were slightly below expectations, but I think broadly numbers have been in line. There have not been many major negative surprises. And I think now the markets could possibly be looking at, macro triggers like what's the kind of commentary which is going to come on August 23rd by Jeff Powell, because that's going to give us a clear indication of how interest rates are going to be headed. Once the interest cut cycle starts, I think you could see that happening in India also. And I think that could be a big trigger point for most of the interest sensitive sectors. So my sense is now more than the stock specific kind of fundamentals. I think the macros would come in play. As far as liquidity is concerned, I think the markets has got a lot of liquidity. In fact, just read some reports that a lot of mutual funds are now sitting on decent cash levels. So that explains the fact that stock specific opportunities are also now getting increasingly difficult. So I think it's going to be a stock pickers market. I think it's going to be a little longer term oriented in nature. So I think for the time being, the markets could just drag. But yes, stock specific activity would continue. So our sense is that it's always better to focus on stocks and typically key growing sectors where the earnings growth momentum in the quarter one has been quite impressive. So I think we are not advocating a very strong buy, but any dip in the market could obviously be used as an opportunity to add positions in portfolio. No, I think Neeraj, this is an interesting kind of space. I think apart from Genus, HPL Electric is also another company which should benefit. And I think the government is now looking at installing smart meters quite aggressively across the country. And that is definitely going to give a big booster shot to all these companies. I think it's definitely overdue. And I think looking at the kind of power spillages and the kind of power thefts, smart metering is now the new kind of method by which properly the customers as well as the government knows exactly what is the metering on these meters. So I would believe that Genus definitely would benefit significantly. They have a very large book, and obviously looking at the current order, I think that gives them a very strong amount of revenue visibility for the next 12 to 18 months. So I think this space would be interesting, but I think as you rightly mentioned, buying these stocks at the right price is very important. I think probably Genus could see a gap up today morning, and I think I would suggest investors should use any dip only to look at chipping into these companies. I think within the hospitality space, we continue to like companies like BLS International. See, we believe that it's got a service-oriented kind of business, and most importantly, very strong numbers in quarter one, profit of almost 120 odd crores compared to 70 crores. And once the integration of iData, which is the company that took over in Turkey, I think that gets integrated with the company. I think you could see a further earnings growth kind of momentum coming in FY25. So I think here, the company continues to be cash rich, free cash flow positive, and most importantly, it's got a very dominant space in the visa processing market. So our sense is that even as of now, somebody wants to take a 12 to 18-month call, this could be a good reasonably bet to play on the hospitality space, because clearly I think they have a monopolistic position and the financials are also pretty strong. So I think any dip or even at the current odd levels, one could look at buying this stock. Looking at the kind of monopolistic nature of the business and the kind of performance Blinkit has also been performing, I would believe that the cash flows are yet to come in. The narrative is pretty strong. So maybe, I mean, if you have a 1 or 2 year view, I think we could possibly see higher levels. I think this is a unique story where there are not many players in the food app business, and that gives Zomato a very strong kind of bargaining reach with its customers. So we would prefer to hold on. I think any dip, of course, should be used as an opportunity to accumulate. But yes, I think the bigger story is yet to emerge. Probably FY26, 27 would be a lot better in terms of financial data points. I believe, Neeraj, it's a very mature kind of business, and I think they understand the business very well. Very strong collection efficiency, and I think looking at the kind of tailwinds in the sector, I think they are fairly well positioned. Even in terms of the valuation comfort, I think the stock looks pretty attractive. So I think looking at a medium to longer term horizon, even at the current odd levels, despite the fact that the stock has seen a good increase, one could definitely expect a decent risk reward if one has a 12 to 18 month time.